Yo, what is up? We are live. Happy Monday. Just taking a look at the charts here. Holy moly. Up, down, all over the place. Man, if you thought it was looking good this morning, hello. Little shock right there. Give everybody just a minute to hop in. Appreciate you guys that are a little bit early or on time, rather. I'm going to push this really quick. There you go. Cool. All right. Welcome. You guys in the house? Ready? Ready? I think we're ready. Happy Monday, man. Yeah, I don't trade a whole lot of Mondays, but I don't think I'm missing anything today. Although McDonald's is kind of interesting. That's probably the most interesting one I see out there right now. Bad earnings. They missed across the board, but good price action. Stock is up. I mean, up. It was like near flat this morning. What is it right now? McDonald's up almost almost 4.5%. That's a lot. Oh, Sharky's in the house too. What's up, bud? Is he there? Sir Shark.
Hey, buddy, what's going on?
I don't have your... Oh, no, there it is. Sharky is here. What's up? You trade this morning?
Yeah, I am red. It sized down a bit, and it just broke back over my zone, but never gave me a retest, so I'm kind of just watching it fly without me.
Yeah, super choppy morning. I think like the best one I can see right now that's closest to support is...
Well, your Disney's going good.
Disney's going good. I had some put credit spreads on there. The closest I think to support right now is probably IWM. I don't know. You traded this week?
Yeah, I was looking at that too, around these 220s.
Yeah, Disney's going. I think we're ready. I'm ready. Kevin's ready. Alex is ready. I think we're ready to roll. All right, guys. So let's get to it. We're going to try to hit this as quick as we can, but welcome, by the way. Every Monday, what we do here is try to take a look at some of the headlines that were happening last week. This week, we have a huge week. I mean, massive week of data. I don't know. This is setting up kind of choppy. I don't know that this is the week to short. But we're coming off a pretty bloody week, to be fair. Yeah, I think do you know what the drawdown was on the Qs, Sharky? Was it 10%? I think we were coming up on 10% actually.
I know it was a little bit more extreme than SPX. I think SPX was like 6% or like 5.5%, but I actually didn't do the Qs. I don't know.
Absolute top to the absolute 9.8%. Yeah, so that's a proper pullback for sure. So I guess the question is it done, right? And it's this week. I think we're gonna find out. Happy Monday, guys. What's up? Ava's in the house. Yes, we love it too. I think this week is really gonna tell us that. We got a lot of questions. I got a lot of questions last week, and we can kind of go over it in the data. But why was last week so red? All that kind of stuff. Just super high level. There's two things to note. I think one, we came in hot to PCE on Friday, which ended up being a nothing burger. So I think that's best case scenario. And then this week we have FOMC, the actual rate decision. And that's going to be, that's the biggest thing specifically to like the small cap trade. And then we also have this earnings situation. So we're coming off of like the lowest, like we're actually coming off of really good earnings. Some of the best that we've seen. And, I think there's a lot of gains to be had out there and people just maybe getting a little concerned. I didn't write this down, but it's this day. Google and Tesla earnings stir worries that big tech power is fading. So I think it's this. And if I were to pull out one specific comment, it's coming out of the Google. It would come out of the Google call, and it was Sundar Pichai, the CEO of Google, saying specifically, he's like, we're overspending. What did he say? He said the biggest concern is that we're not spending enough, but he said we're overspending. I don't remember exactly how he said it, but the words overspending was there, and what they didn't do. So that's what they said, but what they did, or really in this case, what they did not do, is they did not increase their capex budget. So because he said, one, we're overspending, and he did say, yeah, we foresee that we will continue to overspend, but he said that we're overspending, and yet he didn't increase his capex budget. That really hit like a lot of the mega cap tech companies to me, right? And Nvidia specifically. But if you notice, Nvidia and really a lot of the SMH kind of cohorts, Micron, et cetera, they're going to move this week based on a lot of what these mega caps say this week. So it's going to come down to earnings, and it's going to come down to FOMC. So net this week is going to be a wild ride. I think that we'd be like a whipsaw all over the place. Some people are going to meet, some people are going to like miss, beat, miss, whatever. But for Nvidia and the semis, I think it's really going to come down to how they portray that overspending. I think everyone's concerned that I don't think it's about, I don't know, Sharky, you tell me. I don't think it's about them spending so much and not realizing anything right now. I think that's a given, maybe like built in. But really, like, if they're overspending now, well, then is the end closer? Are we closer to the end than the beginning, at least in the near term? I think is the real question, right? I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on that, Sharky?
No, not too many.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I'm pretty positive that's what it's going to come down to this week, right? In terms of actual economic data, here's what we got. So GDP Q2 revenue. I think this was is this the first look or revision? I don't remember. But anyways, Q2 GDP came in on estimates of 2%. We actually landed at 2.8 versus 1.4 prior. Goldilocks is 2%, generally speaking. So that's like Goldilocks as in like the golden path to everything melt up. Core PCE, that was Friday, had an estimate of 0.1% for the actual price index. We came in at 0.2% versus 0.1% prior. Personal income coming in at 0.2% versus 0.4%, so actually a little bit lower than estimates. Higher than prior, but lower than estimates. And spending coming in flat across the board. So that's actually good for inflation, meaning like inflation will come down. But growth rate, I think it's like 70% of GDP comes from the consumer. So this is why PCE is like so important, right? And why it's also the Fed's favorite inflation gauge. So the more we spend, the higher inflation will go. And it was funny, I was listening to like Olympics commentary, and I guess like in France, so like, well, is there an inflation? Do we need to worry about what inflation comes from these Olympics? And comparing it to like the Taylor Swift effect, I guess that's a thing. Who knows?
The Swiftie effect.
Yeah, the Swiftie effect, where like she will increase inflation by coming around. Like that's wild. But net, I think PCE pretty much flat. This ended up being a nothing burger, which to me was probably the best case scenario, and the markets did absolutely nothing, which is pretty much to be expected. A couple of standouts, like, I mean, geez, 3M last week, by the way, probably standout beat. Dexcom standout miss for sure. 3M, I haven't looked at this, but 3M to me was looking like, I've owned this for a long time, probably early, but this could be a real crazy turnaround. I'm not ready to jump in yet on some leaps, but I think if we get a little pullback, maybe somewhere around just under 120, I'm definitely going to be interested personally. So I'm going to keep that on watch for sure. New home sales declined to the 9-month low. Imagine that. Real estate is broken except for the ultra rich. That's like if you can't pay for paying cash, then yeah, rates are still absolutely insane. And a lot of this is like predicated around this yield curve re-inversion, if that makes sense. So the yield curve is inverted. But if you're not familiar with that, I think when the yield curve first inverted, everyone's like, oh, it's like the most exacting like warning of a recession's coming. And I'm like, no, we never bought that. But there is a thing. It's a much better statistic is that when the yield curve reinverts, when it goes back to where it came from, that actually does tend to create some kind of a sell-off. Now, whether or not that's more than 10%, I don't know. 10% is pretty deep for the Qs to me. So, it's going to be an interesting one. I think this is a choppy week is what this is setting up to be, but I'm almost wanting to lean more bullish this week, if anything, but we'll see. We'll see. I got to keep it on. We'll see. The price is going to tell me for sure one way or the other. And then the Bitcoin conference this weekend. Did you see any of that, Sharky? That was a big one.
I only saw it via what the boys were doing.
Oh, did you see the karate contest? That was wild to see Jordy up there. I saw Jordy. That Wolfie was.
What do they know about karate? I didn't know there he's a karate master.
Yeah, looks like they had fun. I wonder if he traced that on camera or not. That'd be cool. But the Trump speech basically. Good afternoon. Trump said. He didn't say, "Hey, we're gonna go out and buy Bitcoin," which I think a lot of the crypto people would maybe have been hoping for. I don't think he could say that if he wanted to. But what he did say was that he said strategic Bitcoin reserve. I've never heard that before, but I think that was like what people were talking about. Did you know, Sharky, did you know that the US owns almost 1% of the outstanding Bitcoins? That's crazy.
No, I didn't. So,
I didn't know that. That was new to me, but he did say, hey, look, we've we essentially acquired all these Bitcoins by like seizing them essentially from the bad guys. But he did vow to never sell any Bitcoin if he does get into office, which I think is a really good thing, at least for the community. I don't know if you noticed, like when Mt. Gox was selling, I think Germany was selling a bunch too. And that created a little selling pressure on the price of Bitcoin itself. But yeah, we're not out of the woods yet. I mean, we almost hit 70K this morning on Bitcoin. That's wild. Actually, I think we did for just a second, but 69,000 is 2021 all-time high. So we're right up there. I think if we make another run, have you seen this chart? Sharky, this thing is wild. So this is the Bitcoin chart. Get over on my screen. We have this saying in trading, there's no such thing as a triple top. So there's like 1, 2, 3. Maybe this one fails, but if it goes at it a fourth time, that's probably when she actually breaks to me. So I would be watching out for that. Oh, I had some of my stuff coming down. So that's really what I had in terms of last week. This week, what we have on deck in terms of economic data. So we have not really anything much today. We have JOLTS tomorrow and consumer confidence. So Chicago Board consumer confidence. And then we really kick off Wednesday. So Wednesday is the big day. And then Friday is the second big day. Friday's a big day, but Wednesday, I think it's all going to come around in terms of economic data, not earnings. We'll have to take a look at earnings in a second. In terms of economic data, it's going to be Wednesday, right? So Wednesday morning, we get ADP, and then in the afternoon, we have the actual rate decision and FOMC. So whatever you see today, this is why it's going to be a choppy week, right? Whatever you see today, I don't know that I'd really believe it because it's all, and I mean all, going to come down to Wednesday. So side note, if you guys are in any of the IWM trades, I did hedge that trade today. I took a little bit off and then I put on a hedge for August. Geez, if you look at this, I don't know if you follow it all, like 212 is the retest on IWM. And it was, I believe, August 16th, 212 puts just as a hedge. Let me see. Yep, 816, 212 put. I grabbed this morning at about $1, just a little bit over. So I think if we've priced in too much of the rate hikes or rate cuts, sorry, hikes, then this can kind of get pulled back. I don't know if the market's really pricing in anything. Yeah, Chibi, no such thing as triple up. I don't know if the market's pricing in July rate cuts or not. I'm not worried about the September situation. I'm more, the only reason I have a hedge here is I'm more concerned about if the market's really expecting a July rate cut, they're probably crazy. Yeah, it's this one, 816, 212. But that's going to have to come off the board, which would pull IWM back. And if there's anything extra priced in way later down the calendar, that'll probably have to get like rebalanced also. So it's not anything about do I think that we're going to cut or not cut in September? I do, but it's about the market getting a little bit over their skis beforehand. We are running into resistance. I really want to hold out, but look, I'm not a dummy. I'm gonna hedge this thing before like something crazy happens. So just in case, that's what it is. So then Thursday we get nothing major, mostly jobless claims. So Powell's been talking about the labor market, and then Friday we get the all important FOMC or non-farm payroll (NFP) day and data. So
that's like your Christmas here coming up.
It's my Christmas every month, right? Whatever happens on FOMC day, Wednesday, dude, that can get completely reversed on Friday. I mean, seriously, it can absolutely get completely reversed on Friday. Whatever happens on Friday, that's going to create the prevailing trend for August, which kind of brings me into some seasonal stuff. So, well, yeah, I do want to be a little cautious. Technically, per the calendar, the 100-year presidential cycle calendar, we are here, but I'll say we've been running a little bit ahead all year long. So like this is where we are in the calendar. I think the chart might tell me that we're closer to here than anything else. And that might be what I'm looking at, right? So while this says seasonally blah, there's a time to trade off seasonality into when to lean into it. And then there's a time to know to throw it out the window. And I think this might be one of those situations where you can probably, it's been good. Seasonality has been pretty solid so far, but I think you might be able to throw it out the window at this point. Shalom, May's in the house. And then inside this presidential election year, Fraggle is not here, but he sent me this chart and I thought that was kind of funny. But this is like inside the presidential year kind of pattern. This is like July, so we could be hitting here July towards the end. We might get up to that 490, who knows, and then have a nice little pullback and then rally again, and then we get a sell-off right before the actual elections. That's typical. In terms of IWM, another 100 year plus whatever, or actually no, this is like a 30 year. This is something I haven't talked about, but this is the Russell's January effect. So to me, Bitcoin, IWM was always like a Q4 thing. They tend to bottom out October, November, December. Again, this year is starting to play out a little bit early. So I'm in the IWM trade, but I'm hedged just in case we do get this last final pullback. Oops, I did not mean to bring that all the way down. Okay, cool. So that's where we are. That brings us in earnings. So far we've gotten 11 or 13 out of the Dow 30 components. Only two of the Dow 30 have actually missed. That was Dow Chemicals and McDonald's specifically. And this week, we have like 850 something companies reporting earnings this week. It's insane. So, oh God, sorry. So we got,
it's probably the total GDP. It's probably the total worth like more than a GDP of some countries.
No, who the people reporting?
All the people that are reporting this week.
Oh my God. I mean, just Apple is, or just Microsoft is, right, by themselves. Do we have Microsoft this week? I don't see it. Oh yeah. So tomorrow.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. Tomorrow after the close, we get Microsoft. By the way, if you're an trader, this means like for me, I'm not touching any names on this screen this week at all. Like none. Just the options. IV is through the roof. It doesn't usually pan out. But McDonald's big standout, man. McDonald's standout right now. I'm just telling you that I was already long McDonald's equity. again, bad earnings, good price action typically means the bottom's in. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to fly, though. So that's what we got to watch for. um, we got big SoFi. So SoFi tomorrow morning for the SoFi Bulls. I don't know. Is Ken here? For Ken's probably not here. All right, we got a big SoFi Bull in our crew. But I think, this unfortunately for SoFi, they're gonna be reporting after or before FOMC. It would have been better if they were reporting after, but we'll see. SoFi, PayPal. I don't think PayPal goes anywhere. There's nothing. I mean, nothing new is happening to PayPal. And then AMD is a little bit sketchy on the chart, but it has been beaten up quite a bit. So we'll see. Actually, a lot of these mega caps have been pulled back. The setup, I'll just say the setup is not bad for the remaining mega cap tech, just based on where we're coming from. It's not a bad setup, specifically Microsoft, Meta, Amazon. Yeah, they've pulled back quite a bit. So like if they were to pull back even more, I don't know. I mean, like how much more could they go?
Frank was away from the screens. He messaged me and just goes, well, "Holy crap!" about this bounce. Just about the bounce that we're seeing here.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, we're all the way back to this morning's open.
Yeah,
over. We're green on the day now.
I know. We were red.
Now we're green.
We bounced. Yeah, it was big.
Wild. So Mikey, one asking, curious about holding leaps for Fangster earnings. I mean, I think that's up to you guys, right? It depends, right? I think leaps are fine, honestly. Like if you have leaps, you're probably planning on holding them. If you're not planning on holding them through multiple earnings, then you might be doing it a little bit wrong. But at worst case, you could like spread off is probably good. If you know how to take advantage of like time disparity in options and like selling short-term volatility against long-term volatility, that's definitely a thing. But yeah, I don't know. I hedged the IWM for a couple of reasons. FOMC, but like as we get into focus on this mega cap tech this week, I just don't know that the interest is going to be like in front of everyone's face for the small caps, especially if some of these guys end up doing really, really well. How are we feeling about SoFi? I really wish, Alex, that Noto was going after the FOMC on Wednesday. This is set up for like they'll probably beat like they always do, but like then skeet like it always does. And then so I don't know that I would play for SoFi earnings right now. I think, if you're in leaps, you just sit there. But I think this is more of a rate play for sure, for SoFi. Definitely. And the election thing, right? Since what they did block the, what was it? The student forgiveness thing. It was blocked. Well, not blocked, but like they can't do it anymore. Arista is going to be a big one. If you don't know, Arista is like number one in terms of network transport for like high bandwidth. So this is very much an AI play. If you don't know Arista, ticker is ANET. That chart's been like absolutely insane. Let me see what it is right now. Little bit of a pullback. Again, these things are setting up really well. They're in good spots. We're like the downside, I feel like, is at least halfway done. So it can't be like horribly bad. ARM is probably the one that's like, ooh. But this thing keeps going. So a little bit of pullback ahead of earnings, I think, is natural to see for some of these. And then once they actually start reporting, which isn't really good, the big one's going to come in tomorrow after the close. So big day kicks off tomorrow after the close. Then Wednesday we get Boeing in the morning, which again, I don't think is going to be a big mover. Altria, have you seen Altria? This smoking stock has been on a ripper. It's over $50. This is a $40 stock for as long as I can remember, man. Like forever. And
good old MO.
Yeah, now it's on a ripper. Actually, best performing stock of all time. Can you believe that? Crazy. Some people just can't get themselves to invest in that because it's cigarettes. But Pinterest. Pinterest is funny, but it's all the way back there again. Wow. Pinterest was up at 45s, now back to 37s. Nice pullback. That was actually a big beat last quarter. That might be interesting. Ooh, Pinterest looks really good. Only about like 15% of the small caps have actually reported, by the way, and majority of them are actually reporting a lot of growth. So we're about 50% through on the S&P, and a small percentage through on IWM. So still, I like that sector just because of that. No, we got Carvana. That thing. Did you see that Carvana chart? That thing was looking real nasty for a minute. Oh yeah, looking nasty on the daily. Big old head and shoulder. We'll see. Fundamentals don't care about your technicals, so whatever the chart says doesn't matter. Western Dig, yeah, Amazon, Apple, yeah. So it's tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday after the close. Those are the big days. Not really a whole lot in the mornings. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday after the close. Those are the big earnings reports. Oh man, you got one that you want to look at, Sharky, or that you're interested on?
I think Meta will be interesting because it's kind of been the one that's kind of been a little bit of a lagger.
This has
as
been
far as the tech, huh?
Yeah, a lot of a laggard.
So I think that will be interesting. It might be setting up for a nice.
Yeah, I was hoping that she bounced, but she did not. She's a big, giant consolidation.
She doesn't look too healthy.
No, this is probably the one that's like technically one of the weakest, right? So here's your so short-term trend line broken. Prevailing trend line though, look at, you can go a little bit deeper. Basically at 200-day, but it's not a lot deeper. Let me just see this. Ping these and come in here. It's right in there. Like it's right in there. So it can come down a little bit, but again, this looks like the most of the bad is over. And she's heading back up. But does she continue to go up? That's what nobody knows. Nobody knows, man. Yeah, Nike's doing well. I thought Nike was going to be rougher. But hey, I got Miss Cleo on my shoulder here. You ready for this one, Sharky? Have you read this? Let's take a look. Here we go. Okay. Now, I was looking for oh no, I don't have it. Anyways, we're in, right? Oh, what happened to the slides? Hello. Goodness. What a fumble.
Come on. Where's the transition?
We're in. All right. So this is the tarot reading. I like this. I had somebody tell me the other day, like doing technicals is like male astrology. I'm like, it's so fitting because we do these tarot.
Yeah, I've seen that like a meme,
Oh my God. So this is like this section or this whatever segment is probably like the most fitting for that. We do it in jest, number one, for sure. But it's wild. Wild how accurate. I want to start calling him Mr. Cleo. Is that wild? Is that weird? Does that fit? I don't know. Miss Cleo, she went to jail.
It's an entity, so who knows the gender?
So Mr. Cleo gives us the tarot reading every week. Top card is the theme card, and then we get Jesus criminy. Is this real life? Killing me. Top card is theme card, and then every day of the week we get a card for that day. So Queen of Pentacles, and then what is this? This is a 7 of, what do we call these? Wands. Page of Pentacles. I don't know, Sharky.
Wands, swords.
What is that? I've seen that. This is not the worst one.
Oh boy.
I don't know. This guy is in a river.
He's not looking too happy there, but
it looks like, I don't know. We're looking for some wood. We found a coin instead, and it breaks our heart. And then we go to get a drink from the river. And I don't know, man. I have no idea what this means. I got no read here, but you know what Mr. Cleo does. So let's see what he or she has to say. So the theme card, avocado time. Yes, the theme card. Ooh, is that a red card as a penalty? Yeah, possibly. Theme card is the Queen of Pentacles. We don't have a lot of history for this card, but what data we do have is mostly negative. So that's for like the whole week, mostly negative. Uh, the Queen of Coin is protector of wealth, but she is not the doer. Okay, so she's gonna protect the wealth. Does that chop? Does that mean chop? I think that's chop. Expect her to arrive when our when our earnings. Oh my god. Sorry. When our earnings are under duress and we need extra strength from a royal protector. She is quite practical, which implies discipline and therefore some chop and chop and consolidation. There you go. Monday is today. This card represents the movement and rapid action. Well, yeah, we got that in both directions. Can we go all the way back down to the low, Sharky? Look at Bitcoin just like waterfalling under that 69K. Who would have thought? Oh, I did. That's a waterfall and a half right there. Expect wild swings designed to keep you guessing. This one rarely brings trend days. Okay. Which means you shouldn't expect a major move in either direction. Don't chase.
Well, we've been definitely seeing the wild swings.
Yeah, for sure, right? Don't get bent trying to fade the moves either. Dips will be bought, rallies will be sold. Good day for day traders. There you go. Tuesday is the page of. So it's called the Page of Pentacles. So from last week, she's referencing. They are referencing last week now. Paige says we're beginning a new financial journey. This could be a good sign for the bulls. I don't think it was. Looking at history, we don't get much mean reversion as you'd expect. He often follows the following day's action, especially when it's major arcana. He's equally capable of up or down days, so she has no idea. Expect moderate move in the morning that slows down, possibly versus in the afternoon. One more interesting note: this one often mean reversion day. So turnaround Tuesday. So last week he set up a local top and led to a major decline. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if the same thing happens here. Oh. So she's calling for a top and fade tomorrow. That makes sense. Also, he is the same suit as the theme card. Expect energy here to be representative of the next few days. Oh, so whenever we get a Pentacles, that's the same suit as the theme card. That's going to play into the theme. Okay. That's the prevailing trend. I don't know, man. That's Tuesday. So Wednesday's when earnings really kick off, right? So we
get that's the big. I mean, Microsoft's still a high beta name.
Oh yeah. So I think, today, tomorrow, honestly, all the price action is like doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's not till Tuesday night that we get earnings, which means that the price action is not going to show up till Wednesday day. And even then, Wednesday day, we have FOMC. So, dude, I'm ready to throw on a massive condor straight up across the indices, which would be normal. Whoa. This is the heart card, right? Heartbreak, pain, and suffering. Oh, this is the one. So is this Microsoft and AMD on Wednesday? Did anybody remember? I don't remember. Wow. Okay. Heartbreak, pain, and suffering. Not a great look, but it's not.
Microsoft is Tuesday. No, Microsoft is Tuesday.
Oh, it's AMD Tuesday.
So this is Wednesday. Microsoft,
you're right. Yeah. AMD reporting Tuesday night. So Wednesday day, we get their price action. Yes, Emperador's right. So it often finishes flat or near it. Okay. Hey, look. Almost every quarter Microsoft reports, it's Microsoft and Apple. I tend to sell premium. So I think this is Mr. Cleo is telling me go ahead and sell another calendar on Microsoft straight across. I'm probably going to do it, man. Probably going to do it. Heartbreak is most likely represents a failure to achieve a goal that seemed inevitable. For example, if we have been rallying and think the selling is over, this card might stall the rally and restore weakness. The opposite would happen during the downtrend. AMD, not touching AMC. All right, Microsoft, after the close. Yep. So Thursday, 8 of Cups. This card almost always arrives just before a major moon cycle. Oh, Emp, what's the moon cycle? Did we get a new moon, Sharky, or is it full moon? Do I need to turn this on?
I don't know where the moon is right now.
You don't know where the moon, dude. You are failing me.
I could tell you in 1 second. I think it's like half. Oh no,
Oh, we got one of those low
it's
moons.
a waning crescent, whatever that
Waning
means to
moon.
anybody. It's
A
like the
waning moon
thumbnail,
today.
right?
Wait, waning moon means you go long, right?
Oh,
Mr. Cleo.
I gotta find the moon chart.
Oh, stop it. Yeah, waning moon means you go long. And then we get a full moon or a
I had a
waxing moon, whatever that is. Um, sorry. They're almost arrives just before major moon cycle shift. We have new moon arriving the following Sunday. So this Sunday is new moon. The full moons often bring energy shifts. This card is trying to show us what to expect after this occurs. We have 8 to page to 3, 8, 4 this week. No matter which way you slice it, page to 3 combo probably sets up a new directional move, which may be cumulative with the 8 on Thursday. Okay. So they're saying that Thursday is the direction day, which is post FOMC. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree with that. However, this makes sense. Card tells us the time to abandon our current path and seek happiness over wealth. Abandon the current path and seek happiness over wealth. What bothers me here is that this card almost always brings mean reversion. So it could mean reversion is good if it's a weekly mean reversion, as wedge between the 3 and the 4. What I mean, the card is that the cards book ending this one could play the same range. 8 bringing a temporary move out of it, but only for a day. I do expect some energy here, and we should note this is for use next week. Okay, so she's saying this Thursday will likely
I'm about to scroll again.
like the weekly trend. So Friday, 4 Pentacles, move back in the opposite direction of the 8 towards the range of the 3. So when Friday is mean reversion day, chop. This card represents inability to move. Okay, take Friday off. Section for NFP itself, and then be done. So if we gap Thursday, Mr. Cleo is saying that we go flat for the day, returning to a prior range, which could make sense. Means chop. Highly likely and perhaps a bit of weakness. This card is never a trend card. So again, dips probably bought and rally sold. Not be surprised. It makes sense if we see energy similar to the page bought on Tuesday. Lend.
Sounds like Friday gonna be a little gross.
Yeah, so the tarot person is telling us go ahead and slap those condors on for the whole week and don't worry about it. In fact, I see a few pairs here. Theme for Tuesday, Monday, Thursday, similar. Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, similar. If you know a similar energy and setup, then use that to your advantage. So the recap, this does not sound like a good forecast, right? This looks like a tough week to trade. Yeah, we don't really have any trend cards. Many of our setups look like temporary ones. There's also a high risk of for a show of weakness. So don't let Friday get you all bowled up. This week feels like a week of consolidation. Hey, look at that. So there you have it. The tarot says consolidation. And I think, the charts actually support that. So there is that. What I'm going to do here, this is my first look every day, right? I'm going to flip onto a 30-minute chart. You could get a little bowled up here just by looking at this kind of consolidation here. But if you did that early morning, you were in for a sore morning trade if you thought that this was actually going to go. But that said, we did pull back.
B-Trade's in the house.
B-Trade.
All through.
What's up? Technically, Sharky,
We're going back to the highs, I just have to say, though.
Yeah, technically, this is a higher high and a higher low coming out of consolidation, but we're not quite there yet. There's a couple session gaps. I think this is done. 2 session gaps that are notable. One's 551.29, and then there's another one all the way up to 564.36. So if we do get that kind of mean reversion in the weekly, look, so here's that broadening formation that we created last CPI day. We are, when we breached the lows with strength, pretty brutal look. But what we did is we came back all the way to 542, retested this break of structure, and the 50-day simple moon average. We're looking for a little bit of a bounce here. So I think, honestly, if this, I got to readjust my average weekly range. I know these are a little bit bigger right now. I would probably say if we do bounce on SPY off the 50, and this is the low of the week, that would bring us to about 554, 555 to that NFP high to me. And then to the downside, I would actually look inside this little box right here for SPY, probably at 535 level where the support is. So I don't think that we get too far outside of 535 to the downside, and probably not too far above 555 to the upside. But both of these areas here, so like if I'm going to slap my condor, I'm looking up here and I'm looking down here for my 2 strikes, just like that, right into this range. I don't think we go too far out of that for sure. Where does that bring us for the Qs? So I'm not going to use this average week's range right now, just because I do think, well, I guess you could. What I'll say is, like, we have been trending much larger than an average week's range. So to have a stall week makes perfect sense this week, right? And I do know that, hey, look, we've got definitely a larger average week's range. Again, gaps to the upside on the Qs, 477.03 and 495 spot 49 to the upside. An average week's range downside would probably put us right into that 448, 450 level, retesting this big consolidation low. I don't think that, like, we can't go much lower than that, at least not near term. No matter what happens, that's just way out of this world if that does happen. And then upside would bring us into this this section right here, which, again, a lot of overhead resistance. So we're smack dab in the middle. I think 480 would be great, but not much higher than that this week. Let's see, just under that, probably around that, just breaching that 50-day simple moon average. But that could be a pretty big pullback if we do get there. So be careful. You have that 50-day SMA.
That's a simple period for you?
Yeah, 50-day locked on the day. Yeah, so daily, 50, simple. I would just be really careful. Like, that's going to line you up right about here to the bottom of this volume shelf and an average week's range to the upside. So I don't honestly, I don't see us getting too far over that. That'd be like 480 max, and that's super stretch. And then downside be like 450 stretchy. So we're sitting that's about 25 points in either direction from here. But I do think, honestly, I think it's chop. Ideally, hopefully we chop to the upside, but this does not look like a swing setup. Technically, we haven't made a new high on Qs just yet. So what you'd be looking for, so this is that prior high. So this is Thursday. You're looking for a break of structure, higher high here, and then a higher low. We don't really have that. We have a little bit of a double top. So that's somewhat concerning to Thursday's high. But we're not making new lows. So again, I think this chop is totally set up. Honestly, if we chop in an ultra tight range, also, that would not surprise me at all. And by ultra tight, I mean like ultra tight, like pin it somewhere around that 463 level. I'm just going to say that would not be out of the norm. So diamonds look a little bit more constructive. Again, 20 and 50 day kind of expanding here, well above the 20 day on diamonds. Qs, by the way. So from those CPI days, again, broadening formations created. Here's that downtrend line. We broke back up over, bounced off of it this morning. Hopefully these lows stick in around 460. That would be ideal. And then IWM. So this one was looking good at the close. We got a little bit higher, but we didn't breach. So out of the gate, I trimmed those calls just because we didn't get that follow through. This looks like more consolidation to me. This is like that 420 level right in here. I think that this becomes your support. I don't expect this to break out before FOMC. So I think, it's either hedging, like reaccumulation, why the hedges went on. Look, this is that absolute lows in here for 1750 to 1750. If I want to see a higher low, that has to show up right around 219. So I think that if this is the last low, and this is going to be important for any of the IWM people, this is the last low on IWM. The low before the last low is 218.94. So that becomes what we call the price of interest.
Frago's leaving some funny comments.
on Twitter.
But on the Twitter side, on the Twitter
Yeah.
feed.
I don't have my Twitter up. But so it'd be like 219, give or take. So I don't want to see IWM breaking 219, like below 219 right now. But if it does, hey, look, that's why I have a hedge on right now. I think this little kind of order block right here, 218.90, becomes kind of like your price of interest. So you're looking at that first extension here, big bounce here, right? Press through here. But also on the downside, right? Resistance here. Oops. Down. Resistance here. And a little bit of resistance here. So 219, 218.90. It kind of becomes that little price of interest. So I think we could chop around there. I don't expect to break out before FOMC. No way, no how. So a dip all the way down that direction actually makes sense to me. Like, don't let sharks trade dive. Friday margaritas. Yeah, Fraggle sent me a note this morning. He said that he had a dream that it was Tesla calls this week. Can you buy that one? I don't know. Let's take a look though.
Well, it was up. Tesla was up almost 5-6% today.
How much?
But
really?
Then it died.
Oh,
it was almost up 5%.
Oh, Tesla's looking right nice. Look at this. So this is the weekly. This is the daily. I think this is the most important look. So this is that prevailing downtrend on Tessie. We wanted to see her get back up and out. Ooh, she's out, baby. She's out. And is she over this? I think it was this major section. Oh, she's at the top. Ooh, frags. I don't know. She's at the top of that one. That's interesting. Let me just sync this in the layout. So she's at the top trying to do the deal. Oh, it looks like I already had that box there. Trying to do the deal. Just barely off that 50% retracement. Wow. That looks good, man. Do you see that, Sharky? She's going to deal with this 200-week simple moving average and the 20 right up at the top of this prior consolidation.
Maybe Fraggle's really missed Cleo.
He could be. But, yeah, I mean, not really out of the weeds yet from a momentum perspective. Close. She's trying, man. But that's a nice consolidation break. This doesn't look like any of the other indices. This looks definitely better. Look at the 20 and the 50. Oh, man. The 20 and the 50 day really tight right here. So, the 200 and the 50, my bad. And we're battling with the 200 week. That's the purple line. This actually, he might not be wrong.
It's like it has the potentials of getting real nice.
That has a potential to get real nasty, dude. Really. So 231. Is that 231? No, that's 239. So 239 is your next big level on Tesla here. I'm just going to take some of these lines down. So it's this right here. That's a big deal. So 239 here, breakdown. Here, trying to hold. So I wouldn't be surprised to get a first rejection, but if it breaches over, let's say we get a move like this. Oh yeah, that's ideal. Then we'd be looking at this. So what does she do at 239 the first time we get there? And I said this top here would be, we have this low volume pocket right at 250. Ooh, that's a lot higher than we are. Isn't it? Am I in it? Oh man.
Isn't it?
250. Yeah. That's an important one. So she's halfway there, man. That looks good. I'd like to see her get an attempt up to 250, come back down and hold over 239. that would be what this looks like. That would be ideal for the Tessie Bulls, myself included. All right. All right. Uh, Beatrice is.
I think yeah, B trade's there, but I think a 3M would be interesting to look at as well. And what
Yeah.
about crowd?
So Fraggle had a dream about Tesla calls. I had a dream about 3M leaps. Believe it or not. So I've had this stock for a long time. Actually, you know that I've been talking about this stock forever. I was early. I'm always early when it comes to equity. But the logic here was honestly, like, new CEO came in. We're retesting. We're breaking way through this. 107 was a massive level. Like, you bring this all the way back over here. So if the pullback shows up, when I said round 120, I was thinking this 200-week simple moving average, and really this top of this consolidation area up here. So anything, not yet, because this IV is like juiced, right? I want to at least let it breathe. As long as it's not breaking out actively, then I'm okay. But a dip in this kind of area is what I was looking for, ideally. Let me see what that brings us. Here's the daily scale. I mean, yeah, it's just over 120, maybe 118. Around 118. Then I'm going to start looking. And honestly, dude, you're going to laugh. I started looking like furthest dated, highest strike possible. There's no volume on these guys.
Yeah, it doesn't have that much liquidity. It's not, it's not traded that much.
Nothing.
So it's like,
yeah. But I'm looking
like, you're the only order on the tape.
No, definitively. Oh, I take that back. Today, there's orders. Sharky. All this. Oh no, that's open interest. Jesus Christ, not orders. So open interest.
At least that means that somebody's holding something.
That's true. Unlike my IWM,
I like
leaps,
3M. I like their
open
product.
interest has fallen quite a bit. So in my mind, I was like, dude, this could be GE 2.0. So, and 3M under 90 was like, to me, like GE under 50 or 40. This was my entries here on GE. When Larry Culp came into GE around here, and there's big pop, big drop, boom, boom, boom. And it was like a 2-year thing, but my entry's way over here. And it's since like over tripled, right? And you're going back to GE has not made it all the way back yet, but you're right into this area. Look how much room. Anyways, I mean, this is, let's see, what would 3M look like if she did something like that? I mean, it would look like 160s for the leapers. And then the 155 leap is the one that has the open interest. We'll see. I got to wait for some of this vol to come down because it was like the best day ever.
What sector would you put 3M? I mean, it's not really consumer discretionary, but I mean, it kind of is. But they're also kind of industrial. I mean, they've got.
I put it in diamonds.
You put it in what?
In the diamonds, yeah, in industrials. Yeah. This used to be one of those stocks, man, where they were like, "Oh, 3M never goes down," like, "Oh, GE never goes down." It used to have that. Not anymore.
I mean, have that air about it.
Yeah, not anymore. This is like our parents' generation. But I want to wait for this vol to come down, and it's probably in that 150, 160 type area. We'll see. I think it's a little early, but I got to wait for this to come down. And then, yeah, I'm not opposed to like 2026 type leaps on this guy. But it was such a violent move, man. Whew. Give that. I feel like you could give this like a solid like 2-3 weeks to breathe before you actually go out there and do it. But in the meantime, like, this is near dated, what this looks like. Let me get back over. We're coming down. We're testing this pivot from yesterday. I mean, it might just be one where I have to just start taking the short dated pot shots. That's where what people are doing. I saw a lot of like, what was it? They were going ultra short dated. Did you see this flow today, Sharky? They're going crazy. I mean, they're going wild. Like this week, 130 calls, 3,000 volume.
Oh, wow.
135 calls, 2481 volume. Like for Friday. So they're like, no, this is like do not stop, go, do not pass, do not collect $200, go directly to 150. Yeah, I don't know. But the volume is very short dated. Also on August 16th, 125s at the money. The only thing I can't really say if they're buying or selling these. Let me see. I mean, dude, it looks like they're buying. What are they doing? Looks like they're buying. They're buying. Yeah, 135s and 130s. A lot of 135s. But they're cheap. I mean, if she's going to go, she's going to go. So, Tesla leaves. Oh, I don't know. Tesla leaves. Let me see. Okay, so we talked about Palantir. No, I'm gonna ping a Mitt. I think we'll hit Palantir later on. I would just go with some of these. By the way, it's a full moon, August 19th. What happens on the full moons, Sharky?
You see someone's butt.
I don't know.
I don't have August's moon.
No, you would know.
Set up, but you're supposed to be going up now slowly.
Let me see. Well, the next one I see is I know I saw HUD, and then we'll get to B trades and Nvidia.
My moon connection.
All right, so HUD. So 22 right in here was that last kind of like order block where they're typically stepping in right in here. Right there. So I think Palantir, I think HUD defends again somewhere in this kind of like range. With earnings coming, yeah, I don't see. Look, these guys are making money. I think this is going to be a good report for Robinhood. Let me see what they normally move. Dude, this mouse is starting to kill me. Robinhood earnings. So it's like 3.1, 13 and a 14% quarter. Looks like about 5% on average. Ooh, almost 8% on average. Average move for HUD. That would put them.
All right, hold on. We're getting the moon data.
Are we? Yeah, downside puts HUD just under 20 for an average move. And upside puts him back to 22. So, yeah, I don't know that I would trade this one on an 8% average move. But I have a feeling it's going to be bigger than average. But it's dippy too much, quite frankly. 28 was always like my upside case on this extended move. All right. While you're pulling the moon data, let's look at Nvidia. So Nvidia, not the greatest look here. This white box here, that's that prior consolidation. All of this. And we are, look, man.
It looks like the days to watch are August 8th and 9th, and then 14th and 15th. And then the 31st.
Wait, what happens those days?
I don't know. There are these black dots here. I'm gonna have to look it up.
I'm sure he's looking up moon phases. I love it. Oh God.
Tesla bouncing?
Possibly. I mean, that chart looked good. So here's the thing on Nvidia. I could tell you TA and stuff like that. Typically, when you lose a 50-day simple moving average, you're gonna go to the 200. That's like 80 on Nvidia. I can't call that yet because it's too close to the 50 to really be like, oh, it's gone. So she could reclaim this. These SMAs here are tightening, so they're getting smaller, which means chop. Right. So I think that this is going to get really bouncy. I wouldn't put a trade on other than a day trade right now. This could get real tight. And if it stays here, here's what could happen. Right. So if let's say this is the 200 and it extends and then the 50-day goes like that, we could get a setup where they're really tight, basically on each other. And then you could get this boom up and then it could fail down only to. This is that setup, man. This is a setup for like I'm not really trying to touch it. 107 would be basically be trades level. If you want to find a liquidity area, that's kind of how you do it. But I got to draw it in really tight. So if this was the last low, dude, I think we hit it. The low before the last low, 111.52. There it is. So 111.52 is your new price of interest. Well, is the current price of interest on NVIDIA. Hit. We're hitting a lot in the after hours, and then we hit twice in the open hours today. Once today, once on Friday. 111.52. Lock it. That is now your low. So below this, what that means is that below this, 111.52, we're likely, like a close below, we're likely going down. And that would be down to 108.50. Sorry, B-Trades, I don't have the 107. Or much lower to like 95s. I'll just say 95s. That comes off of this 97. That's that prior breaker structure. That big giant consolidation. That would be like this. But this is not really in the cards just yet. We'll see. Consolidation could be this big though. Who knows? For right now, you have to kind of play this super minuscule price action, which it's 11.52. That's the level. That's the order block right here on NVIDIA that's holding her up. Boom, 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 boom. Basically, this morning's low. I think Tesla's going to see two. Yeah, that would. Well, if it goes to 250 first, John, then I want to see it come back down and hold over 230. That would be the healthiest. Palantir. Okay. Palantir 2750 was that kind of like main pivot. So again, prior consolidation here, breakdown through. Ooh, it's a bad technical rejection this morning. That's a bad technical rejection this morning at the 20-day. I think we had like in this area. You got to look at weekly scale. It looks good still. So I think like what you're looking at on dip buys is in this old zone right here. So this becomes that big. If this breaks out on earnings, which is going to be like a 20% mover, it would be like a pullback to retest this if there was no earnings and then go. That puts you about 20, just under 26 on Palantir for potential dip buys. But that's the shelf. That's the volume shelf right here that you're toying with. What you don't want to see on Palantir is like a consolidation below that. Then that's not going to be good, right? That's the worst case scenario for Palantir. That would be this 20-day, 50-day kind of like consolidating like that. That's what that would look like. But that has to play out a while. We're not going to have enough time before earnings for that to play out technically. So you got to wait till post earnings, which is a big mover. Get out of here, Amp. What is this? Short Tesla, long Boeing. Did you? Yeah. Look for 3M last night too. Yeah, I was looking, dude. The new strikes. When look, I have this feeling May is gonna let us know. May let us know when 200 strikes come out on 3M. Then we can hammer them. Should check fluid trades, SMC light for TV indicators. Oh yeah. How do we feel about Disney? How do we feel about Disney 2026 leaps? Disney, I was already long. I was long. I think Disney was, I don't use the oversold, overbought terms, but I do use like overvalued quite a bit. And I think this is a case where Disney was undervalued right back into this consolidation low. I sent the reentry long term already. Here's the thing for Disney. I think, look, did you see the new movie this weekend, Sharky? You didn't go see the Wolverine and Deadpool movie?
No, you know, I don't. I saw X Men, the first one. I think I saw the second one, and
Is it
after that,
Deadpool though?
when did that come out? X Men, the first one probably
Dude,
came out
just
like
like this
I don't know,
weekend.
20 years ago.
Deadpool,
So I'm
Deadpool and
way
Wolverine.
behind.
Not gonna lie, the lady actually said she wanted to go see that movie. And what did I put? I'll just pull this up. So in our server, by the way, if you want to join, we're open. It's papergame.com/links. This was, oh god, I can't really. I need to pull this up differently so that you guys can see it and I can zoom. um, but essentially, I think there's a lot to do about kind of like activist selling. Here we go. I have to pull it up in browser mode. So this is my Disney here. So a lot of activists selling from that recent like attempt to get to the 2 extra board seats. They started selling a while ago. They've since all sold. So I don't think this is like the Try and Fund and not Nelson Plus. There was somebody else. One of the major like Marvel people sold, but I think they're all sold out by now, like completely gone. And then they had strikes, right? So when I hear about like strikes and things like that, to me that's temporary. That's a temporary situation, which the stock should recover from. So I don't think that impacts companies' long-term performance. So those are things that I'll tend to listen to. And then generally speaking, I think it's a lot of this box office stuff. So super strong lineup coming into this quarter, this year. Inside Out 2, whatever, top performing film 2024. Looking at like 600 mil. Then we got Dune Part 2, Despicable Me 4, Deadpool and Wolverine, 205 million this weekend. But anyways, this is the stuff you'll see in the long term for in our group. But I think that's, oh look, that's us. That's more or less what I was looking at in when we're down here. At this point, I'm like, where could we go? 120 is usually this round trip, man. I'll just say that. So Disney usually makes this kind of round trip up to like 120s. So that's what you'd have to be looking at. And she is super strong today. But leaps, maximum, I think you go June 120. Yeah, so 120 calls for June 2025. Not really a leap, but I think that's max. Those are sitting about $300 with 117 volume on them. Not really much for March. I see a lot of $100 calls for January at $5 a piece. A lot being like 1,400 volume. That's not bad. 85,000 calls to 18,000 puts. He's very bullish flow. Looking like a lot of. Ooh, somebody's going in hot for like 105, 115 call debit spreads for August monthlies. They're crazy. Maybe.
All right, dude. Well, we're coming out of lunch, brother.
All right.
I gotta skedaddle. Although we're not really doing anything, we're just going back and forth.
I know.
And,
the original. Did you get?
the original? Yeah.
Bucker's already shopping for his Halloween costume.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Deadpool, Wolverine, the new one. I want. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
All right, love you, Paper. I'll see you in a bit.
I'm gonna call it to you guys. That's a wrap for me. Sharky, where's Sharky? There he is. Yay! Do I have? All right. That's Sharky's theme song. I appreciate you guys for showing up. I'm gonna call it to you. I'm gonna take a little break, and then I will jump on to the Twitter Spaces. Cool. Adios. See you guys.